All right, welcome to the latest episode of the Colman Power Organic Fitness Podcast. So here we are with another Q&A, coming up with four main topics. As I sit here with the new CPOF workout tops, absolutely mad about them. It says, "Get on the good stuff" on the back of it. If you don't know, that's the slogan of the century of 2021 and following years from here and now on. And I'll touch on the four main topics before we get into the show. There's the blade of grass that has just been flying in the air for anyone on YouTube. They're just outside grounding. It was up slightly earlier today than normal, just to factor in a couple of different things. And as I was just touching on that point quickly, I still woke up at the end of a 90-minute cycle, which prevented me from literally feeling like I got rolled over by a bus, because sleep goes in 90-minute cycles, and sleep is one of the pillars of health. There are several different episodes touched on the Organic Fitness Podcast about sleep, because why? If you're not sleeping right, your hunger hormones are all over the back, you can have poor skin health, you'll have less energy levels, and that is for a separate show, but we'll get on to these four questions today. So the first of which is in the Q&A is how to get more water into your diet, okay, in the cooler months. Great question. So next one is, are smoothies okay for a meal when you're extremely busy? We go. Another question. That one is pretty clear. It came in from Sharon, who's currently on the Organic Fitness program. Keep hurling. You're hurling very well. Next one is struggling with mental health. Foods you suggest. Okay. I also find it difficult to read my own writing at the best of times. And final question is, how do I change your training, and why do I particularly train? What's my reason for it? Okay, these are coming and pooled from social media questions that I get on a regular basis, either in DMs or in the regular Q&As that I do on Instagram that are linked to Facebook. So if you want a shout out and or your question called out, or you want to stay anonymous, that's absolutely fine. And we'll get rocking and rolling straight away into question number one. I shall set my timer. That really helps me to stay in within the 30 minutes of these podcast shows. No ifs, no buts, no big mad long podcast form. 30 minutes is bite-sized nuggets of information for you to take home on your journey. Or you're outside clocking up steps, or you're in the car, or multitasking, washing, or doing any items throughout the day. So, colder months, what do I recommend? What I'm drinking right now, a warm beverage. Whether it be parsley tea or cloves tea is something that I do recommend to people. Okay, why cloves? And firstly, why warm? Because something that you drink cold, during the cold, it doesn't actually help and benefit your gut health. I'm so big on gut health. Why? Because it's important for the foods that we consume and we eat every single day. And what actually, if a cold beverage is something that increases cortisol, that's your stress hormone. You don't want too much of that at incremental times throughout the day. Why? Because it can cause inflammation. Inflammation at a small level cause heart problems. That's at a more serious level, but inflammation at a smaller level can cause both skin palpitations, so spots and rashes, and nobody wants that realistically. And when you're getting in a warm beverage, it's coming closer to your body temperature. It's something that you can add in high antioxidant spices such as cloves. They're not just for Christmas. Christmas is only around the corner. Get your shopping done. Don't get me getting too big. I'm an easy man to shop for. Easy. I'll eat anything. But go back to the question. I'm much more cool, calm, and collective on these podcasts now. So cloves. We'll get back to cloves. Cloves are something I wanted to add to your diet for the high antioxidant benefits. They're antibacterial. They can improve your skin health. It's not only supposed to improve your skin health with high antioxidants, but also your oral health. The oral health is the start of, I suppose, your gut, because we break down food in the chewing process, which inevitably, again, is one of the pillars of health. You start doing these small incremental things, such as exercise, such as adding in spices, chewing your food a little bit more. These are really going to help you long term. And these are all the golden nuggets that you pick up and that I've gained from, I suppose, mentors or coaches along the line. And the next thing I do often add into both meals and drinks, warm beverages, I love holding this right now, beautiful, is ginger. Ginger is a natural anti-inflammatory spice. that you can literally chop up, and as a result of that, put into a warm cup and drink out of. A lot of people are saying being healthy is expensive. Yes, of course it is. If you're buying tea bags that have written on them and labeled organic, just get yourself a couple of cloves, okay? And not necessarily that they do have to be organic cloves. For the most part, that plant isn't heavily sprayed through its life cycle. Trees typically don't, or bushes. The thing, and ginger, also, you can get organic ginger quite easily. Go to your local health food shop that actually sells fruit and vegetables, and or get yourself it ground up and sprinkle it into a drink and gain the advantage of that. Ginger is and has been proven to, I suppose, reduce and be as powerful as typical medication taken like ibuprofen to reduce pain. And it's so important for both men and women, but in particular women, it can actually reduce cramps. So if you were looking, I suppose, a bit of relief and high in antibiotics and something to add in more water into your diet, I do recommend adding in ginger. Bit of spice. And as well as that, when you're doing the likes of these clove teas or parsley or ginger, it's something that's actually going to reduce the amount of plastic that you use, right? Plastics are something that for the most part are not recycled correctly, but contain their own toxins. Firstly, if it's burnt or disintegrated, and following that, there's endocrine disruptors, which have now effects on your body's ability to function properly and acting as hormone mimicking substances, which you don't want. And those are just small little tips. Get things plastic free as much as you possibly can, inclusive of the vegetables that you consume, if at all possible. White box schemes right now, or growing your own, is hot on everybody's mind. And I want people to, I suppose, be more conscious of your foods and where they come from. Especially if you listen to this podcast, you want to improve your overall health. That's where you should be looking down. There's so many different people trying to grow things right now. Get them from them. And if you grow something, let your neighbor or your friend down the road grow something different. You can swap it throughout the growing year. It's a little tip for you right there, right here. And next, getting back to the question, how to add in more water to your diet. And it being soup season, I do recommend soup, but not just any soup that must contain protein, because remember, all vegetables are carbohydrates, and carbohydrates are something that people are often over consuming and actually can prevent you from losing weight. It does contain 4 kilocalories per gram, but what most people are lacking is protein in their diet. So I do recommend, which I'm going to actually hopefully make today, a soup. Will it be up on social media? Of course it will. I'll record it for you, lads, so you can really check that out. So there will be up, I'm going to say, on either YouTube, a soup that is not only what? Containing carbohydrates, containing ginger, yes, those antioxidants, here we go, but it will contain a protein source. You can have chicken, fish, turkey, or eggs with the soup, might be a bit weird, any meat source, but I'm going to do a plant-based. Why? Because it contains more fiber. Again, the fiber is good for your gut health, and this is something we're not consuming enough of. If people tell me that, Colman, I have enough fruit, I have enough, definitely enough veg in my diet, okay, you can switch over to meat, so that's really fine, but definitely get yourself some grass-fed animals if you choose to, or you're not a vegan or a vegetarian. That is my preference. It's high quality meat when you do consume it, for both you benefit and the environment, soil health. And the next thing with soup is to balance it with the protein, as I said, but also healthy fats. So how would you manage that? You could sprinkle some type of pumpkin seeds on it. They contain zinc, good for your immune system. They contain magnesium, aids in a good night's sleep, and most certainly they are actually very easy to add to any of your meals, for that matter. Next thing I want to recommend for getting in water into your diet is squashes and pumpkins. Yes, and apples. They do contain a high percentage of vitamin C, antioxidants, beta carotene in the squashes, which is good for naturally improving the glow of your skin. Eat orange colored foods if you want better looking skin. That's it in a nutshell. Turmeric could be up there too. So there are regular, I suppose, things that you can also consume. That apples, if I didn't mention that already. So apples are another thing that are nature's prebiotics. Prebiotics we discussed in the last, I'm going to say, 2 weeks shows ago. It is something that naturally increases the population of your gut microorganisms. When you start to do that, whether you have an apple tree, you must get one this winter and plant it in your home house, or have it in a pot if you are in a rented house. Yes, you can have apple trees in a pot, and they shall give you numerous amounts of chemical-free, high fiber. One apple contains 5 grams, about 4.5, and a pear is about 5.5. So literally, I've touched on that before. You're looking for more fiber, have a pear. But if you can't get an organic pear, switch over to an apple. 4.5 grams of protein. And they recommend a daily amount. Daily it's about 30 grams. So like, Colman, that's quite hard. Literally, soup is your best friend right now. Soup, dilly, oop. And they also contain vitamin C. Vitamin C is an antioxidant that improves your body's ability to, I suppose, deal with stress. There we go. We love vitamin C, and you could take a supplement, but why do it when you can consume the likes of a delicious apple, squash that are in season, and Crown Prince is a variety that I recommend if you're growing squash for yourself. Blue, lightly blue tinge on the flesh and orange center. Delicious. Get it local. And then the final thing is the likes of greens and cucumbers to make smoothies. Yes, these are things that I have after a workout typically. Or why? Because I can most certainly have a yogurt that is soya based that I typically enjoy after a workout, and adding it in a protein supplement, which brings me on lovely to the next question, which is, are smoothies okay for meals when you are busy? Yes, they certainly are. And dependent on, I suppose, whether you want it low carb or high carb, how do you add in a carb to your smoothies? Oats. If you want to make it a full balanced meal, let's say you wanted it for breakfast, if you're on the go, busy, you can most certainly change it up by making that smoothie the night before and have it ready to just take out of the fridge, go in the car, drink it off. There's your breakfast on the go. It's a super way, I suppose, of helping you hit your protein targets. If you struggle to do that from Whole Foods, winning in the morning, it gets you from where you are to where you want to be, wherever that's work or either an event that you're going to. It's something that's transportable, which is really important. Being healthy on the go can be difficult. So that's why meal prep and planning ahead is essential for whatever activities or job or role that you do. And it's helping, as I said, keeping you fuller for longer, because protein is exactly what it does. It doesn't just build muscle. It's also something that is satiating. Okay. It is the second highest satiating macronutrient. That's protein, fats, and carbs. And it's when a smoothie is easier to digest. Those people suffer with bloating and trying to get in fiber into your diet. I do recommend both smoothies and juices, but again, you're adding in, I suppose, into these smoothies, most certainly as many greens as you possibly can. Fruit's good, but it contains natural sugars, and excessive amounts can cause inflammation, especially if you have a leaky gut, which is increasing in its occurrences now that we are, I suppose, excessively stressed on a regular basis, and we are stressing ourselves even further with eating toxic foods sprayed with harsh chemicals such as glyphosate. Glyphosate is the worst one of all. Okay, and you're going to see it now not only it used to be in the periphery edge of the fields, but they'll be spraying off entire fields right now on non-organic farms to produce a crop that will be, I suppose, harvested next year. And another area that is most commonly used, glyphosate and Roundup, is in the spraying off of grain. So if you're eating maybe oats, would be a typical example, it speeds up the harvesting process, is why we can get oats for cheap as chips, 50 cents, which is absolutely nonsensical when you think about it. And that's something you need to switch up in your diet. That's quite cheap, from going from non-organic oats to organic oats. It's something that's, again, not only beneficial for you in your gut, prevents that leaky gut, keeps eczema, which is an autoimmune disease, which I used to suffer with extremely on my arms, typically. And for those of you who know me long term, I used to suffer with asthma as well, and had to literally take inhalers before and during and after games, which I completely have eradicated due to the switch up of my diet. And a lot of people, long-term listeners, will have heard that before, but I used to be as healthy as I was right now. The diet I used to have used to include a lot of takeaways. I used to eat a lot of chips. Why? Because chips were real handy. The chips are fries, depending on, like, they're potatoes that are deep fat fried in oil, and typically trans fats, which you don't want in your diet. I'm a firm believer in healthy fats that really do improve, I suppose, your overall health. Why? Because healthy fats improve the absorption of fat soluble vitamins. But it's something that I wasn't always this healthy, but I'm trying to, I suppose, pass on golden nuggets to people that they can put into practice on a daily basis. And I do enjoy that. I do enjoy passing on those knowledges. There we go. I'm extremely knowledgeous. So, and going back to the question about the smoothies, the thing about it is if you get a plant-based supplement of protein, you also can gain the advantage of it being anti-inflammatory. A lot of this, firstly, the dairy in the whey protein can be inflammatory, especially if it's not organic, which I don't know of too many people consuming organic protein dairy supplements. The one that I currently use is Sun Warrior, but you can also use whatever one you want. It's a one that has minimal ingredients. As a result of that, there is a natural flavor if you don't enjoy the taste of several other flavors, I think vanilla and there's chocolate. It might be two of the main ones they currently have. And if you're based in America, I suppose, or Ireland, wherever that is, they can ship straight to your door. So don't worry about that at all. And yes, that is us moving on to the next question. Struggling with mental health, foods you suggest. Mental health is such an important topic, and your overall health is really important because of that. Because the thoughts that you think on a regular basis are something that you have to realize are something you have to look at, and it's all linked, I suppose, to your gut health, and that comes down to the foods that you eat, because your foods affect your mood. I mentioned on several occasions the fact that serotonin is being produced, up to 90% of it in your gut, and there are more messages being sent from your gut to your brain than there are from your brain to your stomach, and that's worth noting and writing it down and remembering that the foods really do affect your mood. And how do you improve, I suppose, your gut health? It's down to high fiber foods. And where do you find fiber? Fiber is found in all different fruits and vegetables. So whatever veg that you find or you can get your hands on, make sure that you're getting it local, getting it fresh. And as a result of that, you gain massive advantages in improving your gut health. The type of fiber that you're really looking for is inulin. Okay, inulin is found in Jerusalem artichokes coming into season. You have yacon, a new superfood. You have the handy ones that are still very, very beneficial, and the darker the color, the better again. Leeks, garlic, and to switch up higher antioxidants, the red onion is better for you than the white. That's a simple change to your diet, and you can tick a box to say, yes, I've been 1% healthier. Colman gave me this tip and I put it into practice. Yes, you did. So adding in those things is important to your overall health. And even going further than that, if you do consume meats, it's worth noting that you consuming cheap meats where the animal is under a lot of stress due to, I suppose, antibiotics it's been given, or the fact that the feed and they have not been allowed to graze on open pasture, and the process of the slaughter has most certainly increased their cortisol, which inevitably is passed on and put into their muscles. Just think about you standing there right now and literally about to be butchered or shot. The fact is you're tense, your stress levels are at an all-time high, 10 out of 10, and bang, we end up in consuming that meat, and that most certainly is going to have a knock-on effect to the end consumer, because you are what you eat. If you eat nothing but stressed foods, stressed animals, you most certainly will have that knock-on effect to you and your system. So that's why I have a preference, I suppose, that if you are choosing meat, to choose grass-fed that have higher omega-3. They, I suppose, be labeled as only having one bad day, or out on open pastures with that higher grass content be consumed. And the next point is, but if you are looking for a protein source, protein doesn't have to be consumed from a meat source. Eggs are a really handy one. Why? Because they're nature's multivitamin. They're low in carbohydrates. They contain every vitamin and mineral. They're better than a multivitamin because they're natural. They're not synthetically made. They contain vitamin A, D, E, and K. They can be either cooked in a healthy fat itself, and that actually, such as extra virgin olive oil, is one of my favorite ones, and that in itself contains antioxidants, and those beneficial antioxidants are what you're always looking for to, suppose, improve your health. And consuming vegetables in your diet from protein sources would be tofu and tempeh and hemp seeds, because these foods are grown in sunlight. And remember that Veg that's grown in sunlight is something that has, we call it, those nutrients. Lost my train of thought. Where we're going with that was the veg is the food's sun, or the sun is the food's veg. And as a result of that, you are consuming the most nutrient-dense food you possibly can, because foods that have been grown without light, with maybe UV, natural light, don't contain the full spectrum. And that's why another reason I recommend the sun. And the sun links this back up to the top question in mental health. When you are, suppose, touching on trying to improve your happiness, and you need to remember the fact that the sun is a natural mood improver. It's something you need to do. Healthy people get outside on a regular basis, whether you work at a desk or have a job in an office, whatever your occupation is. You need to remember that getting outside is key. I know we're coming into the winter months. You can most certainly add in foods that contain vitamin D. Mushrooms are one of them, depending on where the mushrooms come from, and you can consume them to hit and get closer to your vitamin D content. Oily fish, and most certainly another thing that do contain vitamin D, eggs as well, just due to the fact that all those food items I just listed there, they get it from the sunlight. The sun, without the sun, we most certainly would die. And we need to remember that anything that is grown in the sun or with the sun is best for us. And that's most certainly organic foods grown in the sun. And that's why I recommend 10,000 steps every single day. And for the most part, most people don't get their 10,000 steps by just sitting in their room or sitting in an office or listening to this lying on the couch. They're outside, they're walking. And that's, I suppose, another thing that improves your mental health is outside, fresh air, being with yourself and your thoughts. And this kind of brings me on to, I suppose, the last question in touching on why I train and how I train up, how I change up my training. So how I change up my training is from most certainly having a 6-week period, whether you're on the organic fitness program or not. I take on people for a period of 6 weeks in total. And from there, their fitness level starting point, either be body weight or dumbbells or gym based, is starting where they are and using incremental improvements as the sessions go on. As the weeks go on, they're added in longer sessions. You have different types of finishers, there's core exercises. And what I recommend is what I do. I also change up my training every 6 weeks because it prevents me from getting bored. And I must point out the fact that I don't just train for the physical benefits. There are major physical benefits, such as, I suppose, improving physique, sweating out toxins. But not only that, it's even going closer to home. It's again for, I suppose, mental clarity. I don't particularly, I suppose, need to lose a certain percentage of body fat. I'm quite happy with the physique that I have right now. It's more so about me and my mental state. And I train for, I suppose, and it helps me with anxiety, because for anybody that doesn't believe that healthy people or people who, I suppose, have a podcast or have a program or put themselves out on social media, that don't suffer with some sort of anxiety, with high percentage of people message them on a regular basis from the moment they get up till maybe to the moment they go to bed, you'd be kidding yourself, and you're the easiest person to fool. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm just stating facts that everybody suffers. And then sometimes it's behind closed doors. So making sure that you ask people, are they okay, where they're on social media or they're not. It's just worth remembering that everybody has a cross to carry. But there's a quote that was given to me by a good friend of mine, Mary, who's actually quite sick right now. And she gave this to me at a time that I really need to hear it, that God doesn't ever give you a cross that you can't carry. And that means a different thing for each and every person that listens to this podcast or this show, whether it be on YouTube, on Spotify, on Stitcher, or on Anchor, or whatever other social media platform that you have and are listening to this on. And I want people to remember that you're stronger than you think. You're never too old. You're never too big. You're never too small. You're never too anything. It's only when you start comparing yourself to somebody else, but that's when anxiety, that's when the issues with mental health come into it. You are where you are because of what you've done. You will be what you will be because of what you will do in the future. The future is literally a gift. And remember that. Like, I want people to have a strong enough, like, people are wondering, how Colman can you keep going? Or how do I keep myself being motivated? You have to have a strong enough why. There's one of those sayings that comes to mind as well. I'm a big man on goals boards. I have my own, I treat, I suppose, my life like a project, and that's what it is. Every day, every week, every month, every year, there's different things that you want to achieve. Sometimes there's a bit of imbalance that's needed to achieve a fitness goal. Sometimes there's a bit of an imbalance in, I suppose, your life to get things that you want. And life is about ups and downs. It's not horizontal. It's not parallel to the fact that everything goes good all the time for Colman or for Mary or for Paul or for Stephen or for George. The thing about it is, there's got to be struggles along the way, and the struggles are what make the good times good, and that's going to happen. You're going to have highs, you're going to have lows, and with those goal boards, and I keep people that I mentor and that I coach, I most certainly get them to, I suppose, have a why. Writing this down. I'm a firm believer in journaling. Why do you do what you do? And there's that quote that rings out with Jordan Peterson: he who has a strong why can bear almost anyhow. And you need to remember those words. I'm going to say it again, just I suppose for the emphasis. He or she who has a strong why can almost bear anyhow. Whatever you're struggling with right now, get clear on your why. Write it down. Ask yourself why you do what you do. Ask yourself 3 times, why do you want to train? Is it because attracted and an opposite sex? Is it to feel better? Is it to look good a certain way? And then as a result of that, I want you to have a knock-on effect then. Why do you want to look a certain way? After that, it's the third why. And the 3 times you ask yourself why, and why do I want to do whatever it is you want to achieve, you will get closer to the core reasoning of and motivation that's going to be needed for the days of when you're struggling. That's what I do, and that's why I write down things, and that's why I have goal boards here in front of me, and that's what I suppose is what helps. And as I'm always telling people, what I do is what I recommend. I don't have any secret magic pills for anybody to take, because if there was, we'd all live in a perfect world. We'd all have a perfect body. We'd all have a perfect girlfriend or partner or boyfriend, or with a boy and a girl and a cat and a dog, and we'd all have everything that we ever wished of. But life isn't like that. And I say that with hand on heart, that if you're struggling right now with anything in life, whether it be personal, whether it be fitness, whether it be financial, they keep going, keep pushing, because it's not easy for anybody, and good times are coming. End on that positive note. And that was, I suppose, this week's episode in a nutshell, ending quite positively on you focusing in on your why, you adding in more water, liquids to your diet in different forms, you most certainly adding in smoothies if that suits you on a busy and a hectic lifestyle, and struggling with mental health. It's down to your lifestyle. It's down to your foods that you consume on a regular basis. And even touching on that, consuming both foods, anything that you consume, both informational or people that you listen to, make sure for the most part it's positive, because what you listen to or what you consume the majority of the time will get you the majority of your results. All right. And I suppose wrapping up there, we have a retreat coming up on the 26th of November. If you would like to go to that, yoga, grounding, sea swimming, kayaking, nutrition, organic foods, personal development coach, bish bash bash, that's 26th November. And on top of that, we also have the organic fitness program. If you would like to sign up for 6 weeks with myself, both training, foods, and I suppose personal development, hit me up. Other than that, blue light blocking glasses, Colman 15 discount code. I wear these because I like them, and they really do help with my sleep. They're comfortable, they're snazzy, and makes me look about 10 times smarter. All right, stay tuned, stay classy, and keep it organic.